Hey, it's Chrissy Costanza, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
What's up, guys? Rob here, Front Row Live Entertainment. I am reunited with Chrissy Costanza, and I'm super excited. This is your solo tour that you're on currently right now with some amazing dudes. Voila.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that collaboration between the two of you, especially on this tour. How much closer did you guys get on this tour?
A lot closer, but we were already really close. So I basically stalked them because I found them a little bit over a year ago, and just through like a random song that popped up in a TikTok video, and I fell in love, went through their whole discography, was super obsessed with them, and then commented on something on their Instagram, which I like never would do normally. But and then they DM'd me and were like, "Oh my God, we'd love to like write together." We wrote what became Caught It.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was kind of like, I love writing with you guys. I've always wanted to do the solo thing. Would you mind, co-writing and producing it? And they were like, I was like, I don't even know if you do stuff for other people. And they were like, yeah. And then, so once we did that, and then we did another song together as part of my EP, 7 Minutes in Hell, it was kind of like, they've never really done a headline tour before. I obviously have never done a solo headline tour before. So it was kind of like, let's join forces. We have 2 songs together already. So the fan bases will be united. So it was perfect.
That's really cool. And it sounds like that made it easier for you to write your own solo material as well. Just because listening to this debut EP, I feel like it's a very personal EP, but it's something that you've been wanting to kind of write, but didn't maybe find the avenue to do so. So the fact that you guys already got comfortable with the previous material, what was that like in the studio when you were finally writing this debut EP?
It was so fun because we had already gotten so close. I think it was like 4 months into knowing each other, something like that. And like Luke and I did theme days every day in the studio. So we would come in dressed as pirates or vampires or sports days in Jersey.
We got to get Gus on that train.
I know. Sometimes we would bring him, we would tell him, but we would bring him accessories sometimes to kind of force him into it. Like we brought him a Harry Potter tie on Harry Potter Day. But and we kind of took some of that inspiration on the tour too. But yeah, so it was easy writing with them. It was really fun, and we kind of all filled in the gaps that made sense. Like I love lyrics. Luke is a lyricist, so that made sense. And then I'm not good at production or anything, and
that's
Gus
where Gus
is
comes
like,
in.
he's he's like an unbelievable producer. So it all just kind of fit together so well.
Yeah,
it was so easy to write with them.
Was this EP something that you were actively thinking about writing, or did it kind of just happen as you guys were in the studio? Like as far as the theme, as far as the lyrics, like how did that come about?
I had started doing I had done a couple sessions before the guys, Gus and Luke, just kind of thinking about what would solo music look like. But once we went in for the first session, we wrote 7 Minutes in Hell. And by that point, going into that session, I had a very clear idea of what I wanted to do, what I wanted the sound to kind of sound like. Obviously, there's some tracks that are totally different than 7 Minutes in Hell, like You'd Be Right. But I knew for that song especially, I had like Pinterest boards about it. I had like song inspiration playlists and things like that. So that day was very, like we went in from the beginning and very much like this is going to be the theme. And that kind of carried through like the visual theme of everything.
Right. With the fact that they all don't sound alike. And I feel like you kind of got to experiment with this material. How did that kind of impact your vocals during the recording process?
It was fun because we got to play with some different things and different just vocal styles that I've not done before in my band. Like in Looks Could Kill, if Looks Could Kill, there we played with the mixture of like the falsettos and the belts on the choruses, where it's like in ATC world, everything would be those like heavy, big vocal belts. We got to play with like You'd Be Right was really fun because it's like the whisper vocals and the chanty vocals, and then there is that high belt vocal, but it's blended in a totally different way than a rock song. So for me, it was just a blast because normally it's like, sing powerfully and dynamically, but like powerfully and mostly in belt the entire time.
Right.
Whereas this, I got to play around with a lot more nuance. So it was really fun and challenging too.
Yeah, absolutely. And with You'd Be Right, I think that's the one that really, like the first time I heard it, I was like chills all over.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm curious, like for you personally, like which song do you feel was the hardest for you to kind of go from writing to actually recording, just because like you're kind of opening up in a different kind of way?
Yeah, I think just in terms of recording, like the technical aspect of like how difficult it was If Looks Could Kill was really hard to sing just because we did that falsetto flip in like the first half that goes to a full voice in the second half. That was just more difficult to sing. You'd Be Right though, we spent a lot of time getting the vocals right for that because it had to have the right delivery. You couldn't just full sing it
Right.
and the right stacks and everything. We played a lot, like the bridge melody has a really fun like little, you know, dissonant melody to it, and yeah, we just got to play around with a lot of fun stuff. So yeah, probably You'd Be Right, I think, would be the most challenging, just because it had the most variety in it, which is unique for me.
Did your writing process change at all with, I mean, maybe with this song or just the EP in general, because there were so many different types of sounds and styles?
I think that was the day for sure that kind of unlocked, okay, we could do anything.
Yeah.
I think that was about halfway through. I think before that we had done 7 minutes, and I think If Looks Could Kill, which still could appeal to my existing fan base. And then when we wrote You'd Be Right, it was kind of like, oh, all bets are off. We can kind of do whatever, which then it felt a little freer going into the studio after that, because then I wasn't so worried about, oh, it has to fit within these parameters.
Right. And with saying that, like, did you, you know, now you're thinking this way, like, oh, it doesn't have to fit within these parameters.
Yeah.
So did did the creative process kind of change? Did you come into it the next day being like, you know what, let's scratch that. Let's start writing something else?
I think it changed a lot for me lyrically, especially because then after that we wrote Some Like It Hot, which is just not a tone that I've ever used, or like a concept I've ever talked about, or like a lyrical, you know, vibe that I've ever played with before. And a lot of people have been like, whoa, like, you know, it's spicy. And yeah, it is a little spicy. And I guess I just didn't even realize, because like obviously I listen to so much music.
Right.
I didn't even realize like, oh, ATC is so not that tone.
Right.
That it is kind of really different for people to hear.
It's vulnerable, but in a different way.
Yeah. And but it's also fun. And I remember even just writing and being like, wait, can I say this? Like, is this like a little too much? And same with You'd Be Right. I was like, oh, it's kind of like almost a little mean.
Yeah.
But not, because you're assuming, you know, that person did some bad stuff to you anyway, like, you know, or wasn't nice, whatever. But yeah, just it was a little freeing in that, and just kind of going in and being like, I could just kind of go for it now, you know. I'm unleashed. Whereas in ATC, I try and think a lot about, I have 2 bandmates that are also being represented by this song.
Right.
So I want the lyrics and the tone of the song to be able to fit the group, not just me.
Yeah. When you came out on this tour for the very first time and started performing these songs, how did you feel that the fans resonated to this new material?
So the one that's been getting the most reaction that I didn't expect, besides like obviously 7 minutes goes hard every night and You'd Be Right, and but What If I Fly? People like really took to that song, and they really love that song, and that was the one that I was like, oh, this is kind of a sleeper song. You know, it's the intro, which I love. I love that it's like, it's a perfect intro. It has that big cinematic intro to the song itself. So it's a perfect intro to the EP, but I didn't expect how much people truly connected with it. And that was a fun one to play with too, because that intro in the first verse, it's so like almost Disney, where you're like, sing the sun is golden. And it's like very Disney-ish. And that's something that like obviously has never fit in before. So yeah, that's the one that it's been fun watching. And I've been playing 2 unreleased demos that I've also written with Gus and Luke, and one in particular, like the crowd really reacts to it, which is always interesting to see. When a crowd reacts to a song, they have no idea of what it is. They've never heard it before. Right.
How have Luke and Gus kind of allowed you to become a better songwriter and also vocalist during this process?
Oh, they're both so amazing. They're both so talented. And so as a vocalist, Gus always just pushed my boundaries and my limits, you know, like kind of said, you can do more. Let's do more. We raise the key on everything so many times. Like, you know, he really was very diligent on making sure we got just not even just the takes, but the tone right, the, you know, the emotion right, everything like that. So he really pushed me to be a better vocalist as opposed to just sing through it. Yeah. And then with Luke, he's an unbelievable lyricist, and he really listened to what I said I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it, which to me was really important. I've been in a lot of writing rooms with other co-writers who were doing lyrics with me, who they speak from their own
experience
voice. Yeah. Which is totally fine. But I'm the one that has to live with the song every day. Right. So it was really cool to get to like say, hey, like I wouldn't say it like that. And he was really good about taking it and doing that. And the one thing that I've learned from him a lot is just turn of phrase. He's really, really good at those like turn of phrases. And there's a lot of those in the Voila songs, which is why I love them so much. And I've never been as witty, but I think I've gotten wittier from writing with him and learning how he thinks about things.
Nice. And I love this kind of new sound that you give us. And with saying that, you also got to be part of this Disney A Whole New Sound experience, and which was like incredible, because I feel like you've tackled everything, and then now you have Disney on your list. So talk to me about this collaboration, especially with Yellowcard too, for A Whole New World. And first of all, how did it come about, and what was it like collaborating with Ryan Key and the crew?
my God, I'm so lucky. So we met the Yellow Card guys when we played Warped Tour in 2016, and we actually did a cover of Love Story together in our trailer. We were doing this like live trailer session, and they're just such awesome guys, and that was their farewell year. And then they obviously came back, but I'm super lucky because they were the ones that were offered this whole new sound project, and they had, you know, the list of songs to pick from. And Ryan said he saw A Whole New World, and he went to the guys and was like, hey, I want to do A Whole New World, but I want to bring Chrissy on.
That's
and
cool.
So I'm really lucky because, you know, they could have picked anything, or, you know, or anyone if they really want to do A Whole New World. But yeah, they brought me into it, and they totally made me feel like family. We went and played it in Epcot for a couple of days, and I went by myself when they had like all of their family and their management and everyone out. I went totally by myself, and they were kind of like, come hang out with everybody,
New
like
family.
in their green room and everything. So it was awesome. They're the best guys. They're the nicest people ever. So
that's really cool. And you mentioned Warped Tour, which is where you met them.
Yeah.
But now we just got that reunion
It's
for
back.
Warped Tour for 30th anniversary. I was so excited about it. For you personally, whether it was personally as an artist or personally or as a music fan or personally as an artist, how do you feel that Warped Tour has impacted you from the beginning when you started going there, listening to the bands there, or even perform there?
I was super late to the Warped Tour scene. It's something that my bandmates were really into, but I didn't come from that world, so I kind of learned about it really, really late. And obviously, you know, the only Warped Tour we did was 2016, which is definitely past the prime.
Yeah.
So I missed the glory years, unfortunately. But that summer that we did it was such a good boot camp for being on tour and being a touring artist. You know, you don't get your set time till that morning.
Yeah.
You got to just figure it out. It's hot. You're in the sun. It's grueling. It's a tough tour to do, but it's also really fun. You meet everybody. And so it really, I think, conditioned us as artists. And on that tour in particular, we had one run that was 13 show days in a row, which is crazy.
You never know what what you'll expect.
Crazy. So, but it was so good at that age, especially for us. It really, I feel like, helped us, you know, conditioned us. And it was just, everyone calls it summer camp. I think it's kind of like summer camp and a boot camp hybrid. Yeah, which is a great thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And this tour is about to end here in LA. Then you guys have a little time off and then back out for the Europe leg.
Yep.
What can fans look forward to on this Europe leg? And it's going to be a debut for you as well, right?
Yeah, we're pumped because it's fully sold out, and it's been sold out, which is crazy to think of. And so we're really grateful for that. And so we're trying to just upgrade everything in the set. You know, we're upgrading the production quite a bit. It's still it's gonna be a mixed set, so it's a long set. It's a 2-hour set, and with both Chrissy and Voila songs mixed together.
Nice.
As opposed to 2 separate sets. And look for fun outfits / costumes. We would love anyone to come dressed up, you know, as whatever you want. Pirates, angels, demons, all kind of in that world.
Yeah.
And yeah, just it's gonna be a big party.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for reuniting with me. You guys be sure to check out Chrissy's debut EP 7 is out now. Catch him on tour if you're in the UK, and thanks for watching on Front Row Live.